Players Corner, episode 4 today. I've got Jack Perkins, Kokomo baseball player. He is a Division I commit to Louisville. Jack, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so Jack's been with me since 11 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's been working with me since he was 11 years old. And when it comes to the training aspect, he's going to put in his first full off season in the weight room here with me. We've been doing hitting and pitching for years. Jack's been a good ball player his whole life. He's been working his butt off the last couple of years, and he's blessed enough to be able to play and commit to the University of Louisville to play in college baseball. So if you're a young athlete, you're a young baseball player, these Players Corner episodes, the whole purpose of these is for you to see exactly what it takes and what these guys are doing to get to that next level. By no means has Jack made it. Would you think that you've made it? Absolutely not, right? Unless you're playing in the MLB and an all-star, we haven't made it yet, right?
For sure.
So he's hungry all the time. He's going to be hungry to get better and better and better. That's why he's working year-round. That's why he's busting his butt in the weight room, which a lot of guys, and for some reason, the baseball world don't do, right?
Yeah.
They, for some reason, don't want to lift. And lifting is so important, not only for development on the field, but if you look at guys in the MLB, those are athletes out there. If you want to be able to perform at the MLB level and you want to perform at the Division I level, those guys are athletes. Jack's an athlete. That's the reason why he's committed to play at the University of Louisville. So for you, Jack, I'll get to the first question. What is the biggest reason you chose Louisville as your future as a ball player in college?
Well, it came down to specifically 3 main reasons. It basically comes down to what you want as a player. So for me, it came down to stability of the coaching staff, because as I found out going along, the coaches aren't always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The second reason was I wanted my parents to see me play, so it came down to somewhat being close to home and at least a driving distance. And then the third one was the success of the program, and I felt like going to Louisville with Coach Williams and Coach Mack just signed a big deal. It was going to be a great spot for me and a place I could succeed at.
Awesome. That's good stuff, and that's great advice right there. So he mentioned 3 huge factors in determining a school. He mentioned distance, his family being able to play, and the success of the university. So Louisville is obviously a top program in the nation now, and they developed into a powerhouse. I know the coaches there, they're great coaches, and Jack wanted his family to see him play. So if you are a player and you're sitting here and you're getting ready to go through that freshman through junior year, those big recruiting years in high school, and you are a prospect for Division I baseball, those are factors that you need to think about if you're going to play. And so I'm glad that Jack mentioned that, because those are 3 huge factors you need to pay attention to. Because again, you're not just going there to play baseball. You're going to live there for the next 4 years after you get done with high school. So it's a lifelong decision that can alter your future. So you got to make sure that you're weighing all your options and make sure you're smart and don't rush your decision, right? Perfect. So as a baseball player, what would you say your biggest strength is?
Probably just my ability to compete, especially on the mound and late in counts. If I'm in a 2-strike count, I'm not striking out, and if I'm on the mound, I'm doing my best to get everybody out.
Awesome. Yeah, and basically you're saying you have the will to win no matter what the game is, right?
Yeah, sure.
And being able to compete, and that's something you can't teach. You know, I've coached a lot of guys. I've been coaching for a while now, and I obviously played for a long time. And there's certain guys that you play with that just seem like they don't have that fight in them, right?
Yeah.
That's something you can't teach. And when you're a young ball player, you want to be able to have, and the term is eye of the tiger. You want to be constantly trying to be the best you can. You're competing with the next guy in front of you. When you get between those lines, it's you versus him. You want to come out on top every time, right? Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I know he's only a junior in high school, and so he's still developing as a ball player, and we'll probably do another interview and another episode like this down the road after Jack's been in college for a little while, because you can see the difference in how he answers questions now and then what his thoughts are here in the future a couple years down the road. And hopefully Jack's one of the best players in the nation, and he's top prospect right now. But the big thing is, even though you're a great ball player, and even though the great ball players across the nation, they have their strengths, there's always weaknesses, right? I know I have my weaknesses as a ball player, but one of those weaknesses, of all the weaknesses that you've had, what have you turned into a strength now?
I think just my ability to become a full all-around pitcher. 13 through midway through sophomore year, I was just a thrower. I came out, threw the ball hard, and that was what I got people out. But now I'm able to utilize all my abilities with my off speed, with the way I'm able to hold runners, with everything I have in my ability as a pitcher. I'm able to utilize those now compared to before. I was just going out there trying to throw the ball as hard as I could.
Awesome. So Jack's been doing pitching lessons with me for a while, and we mentioned that before, but I'm hoping to see if you remember this. The difference between throwing and a pitcher. Do you think you understand that now?
No.
Yeah. Do you remember me talking to you about that years ago?
Sure.
So Jack threw hard in Little League, okay? He threw hard the last 6 years he's been playing. He's always been a hard thrower. And the biggest thing with the hard throwers is they have to make that decision sooner or later. Are you just going to be a thrower or are you going to be a pitcher? So that right there, that's perfect advice and it's a perfect example. He's a junior in high school now. He's understanding that even though he's throwing 90 plus, we've still got to learn to be a pitcher, right? Because what happens when you're facing the same competition, the same level as you? We've got to make that adjustment. We've got to learn to be able to pitch because when he's facing guys on the same level as him, and the same thing with me when I face people at the same level as me, it's not the person who's the best athlete, it's the person who's best prepared, and the person who's mentally tough, that has the will to compete, but the person who's the complete player, the complete pitcher, for instance, right? So you've always got to be striving. Just because you're better than people at a young age doesn't mean you're going to continue to be better. You've got to work for everything you have. Would you agree with that?
No.
All right, so what would you say of all those, you turn that weakness into a strength, going from a thrower to a pitcher, what would you say is still a big weakness that you need to address and become better at?
Probably just the mental side of the game. I mean, there's always so much you have to learn, especially with the higher level you get. Right now I'm in high school and I'm facing high school competition, and mentally you're going out there and you're thinking, I'm the best guy out there, which you always have to do at the highest levels you're at. But the higher levels you get, they're thinking the same thing. So you have to be mentally prepared more than they are to be able to succeed better than they do. So if you want to make it, you're going to have to be more mentally tough than they are.
Perfect. And I love that answer. That's a great answer. I would agree with that 100%. And the reason is you can never be tough enough when it comes to the mental side of the game. You're always learning. You're always getting stronger. And I used to take at bats like it was the end of the world. Have you ever had that situation where you felt like you had a bad bat? It's awful. And the older I got and the more you play the game, you got to realize you got to flush that stuff and be ready for the next at bat. And part of that being that mental toughness. And I love that he's talking about that because I feel like, you think mental toughness is a weakness of probably about 90% of players?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely one of my biggest weaknesses from Little League through midway through freshman year, but now you have to learn to just let those things go and move on, because if you don't, then it's going to hurt you.
Exactly. That's perfect. And if you continue to let what happened yesterday affect you today, you will never grow. And he's starting to learn and understand that, and he's becoming that. And the higher levels you go, one thing he said is you got to think you're the best on the field at all times. That's not being cocky. That's being confident in your own abilities, right? He's never going to talk down about another player, but he's going to believe he could do anything when he's on the field. That's the same way I thought, and that's the same way that I would instill on him when I teach him. I want him, hey, I want you to think like that. I'm sure his coaches tell him to think like that when he's playing for him. And you got to think like that whether you're in Little League or you're playing at the highest level, playing in the MLB. So that's good stuff right there, Jack. I like it. So of all the drills that we've utilized, whether it's been hitting or pitching that we've used the last 5-6 years, what do you think has had the biggest impact on your hitting? And what do you think, what drills have the biggest impact on your pitching?
Hitting wise, I believe it's the inward turn. I gotta keep showing the ball at all times, because if not, then you're looking silly at the plate, and that's the thing I hate the most about hitting. Pitching wise, I think it's for sure the rocker drill. You're just able to totally narrow down everything in your delivery and everything that is what you need to work on. So glove arm, driving through your back leg, getting a good finish. Yeah. That's definitely probably the biggest drill that I like to use and utilize.
Awesome. So what he's referring to, the inward turn drill, which actually I'm going to post a YouTube video here soon about my pregame hitting routine and what I did in my pregame hitting routine in college. And I'm utilizing that inward turn drill. That inward turn drill keeps his shoulder on the baseball, and he's trying to make sure he has plenty of plate coverage, especially on off-speed pitches away. So he has a problem pulling off the baseball at times when he's at the plate, that in return drill has helped him, and so I would agree with that 100%. That's probably been the best drill to help you with hitting. And the rocker drill he's referring to is trying to create power from the ground up. He's rocking forward and backward and trying to keep his opposite equal in sync when he's throwing, and basically keeping everything from the ground up, utilizes his backside into his throw. So that's good stuff right there. Guys that throw hard have a tendency of trying to use too much upper body and do too much arm, right?
Yeah.
Instead of utilizing his whole body. So that's another perfect example of, how you 6'2" or 6'3"?
About 6'2".
So he's about 6'2". So he's about almost 200 pounds now. He's gained about 10 pounds over the last couple months lifting, which is good. We're starting to get that muscle. We're going to try to get him about 205 to 210, lean and mean, right?
Oh, yeah.
In shape. And having that kind of build, that kind of size, that's huge, being able to utilize that throwing off the mound. You want to utilize your whole body. Power comes from the ground up. It's not just the arm that's using, it's the whole body. We want to utilize all of our strengths in this game of baseball. All right, so do you have any pregame routines that you do before games? Anything to kind of mentally prepare yourself, or anything to kind of keep you relaxed?
I'm not one to talk too much for my games, especially with my parents. They're always trying to get something out of me, and I'm just sitting back there like, just leave me alone, let me focus. Because, I'm pretty nerved up on my way to the ballpark. Once I get to the ballpark, I'm all business. I'm able to go out, talk to my buddies. But the first thing I always do is I roll out, then I go do bands. Then I'm always stretching just to stay loose, especially after bands and everything. You always have to, and then I go and do the long toss before pitching. So I'm just trying to get my arm loose. And then I bring it back in and go to the bullpen and mentally prepare what I'm going to do. I'm always focusing on the bullpen, what I'm going to try and do in the game. So if it's a team that I know they're a good fastball hitting team, I'm going to try and utilize my curveball in the bullpen. So when I get in the game, I'm already prepared enough to do that. And then hitting wise, we just go through as a team and we do our main stretches. We always take BP in the cage and then we're locked and loaded, ready to go.
Awesome. Good stuff. So one thing I want you to take from what he said right there, he's mentally preparing himself before every game. So he's got a pregame routine mentally, preparing what he's going to do to the team in the bullpen, but he's also preparing what he's expecting them to be able to do. He's physically preparing himself. He's getting his long toss, he's getting his bands, he's getting his foam run, his mobility, his flexibility. All that stuff is part of your pregame routine, and he answered that question perfectly in the fact that you don't just show up to the field and play, right? You prepare yourself. The higher level of athlete that you are, the more you're going to prepare. The reason David Ortiz just retired, okay, he played his last game the other day. He talked about, in his last few months, about his pregame routine. He was mentally and physically preparing himself. We've got a young athlete right here preparing himself for the next level, committed to the next level. He's always trying to get better. It doesn't matter what age you are, start your pregame routine and make sure you have one. Otherwise, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so good stuff right there. Again, baseball career is really young. You're still in developing stages. You're still in high school. But so far, what's your favorite baseball memory you have?
Probably just getting that first phone call. And it actually was from Louisville after I attended a PBR showcase. I got home. It was me, my mom and dad, and my grandpa. And I got there and I got the call saying, "Hey, this coach wants you to give you a call." And at that time in my life, I was like, I'm just trying to play Division I baseball. And getting a call at school like that as your first school is
Pretty cool.
is ecstatic for me, and that's by far probably the best memory I have so far.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a pretty cool feeling. That's cool you get to share that with your family as well. Being able to do that. That's awesome. All right, so a couple lists of rapid fire questions. We'll give you 3 questions real quick, and you just give me a short answer. You give me a long answer if you want to. So, what's your favorite lift that you feel transfers to the field so far?
Probably the sled drills.
The sled drills.
As much as they suck, I love, even though you're in so much pain the next morning, I think that's for sure. It provides what you need pitching-wise off the mound, especially in the legs, and that's probably the most vital part.
Oh yeah.
Keeps your arm healthy.
Oh yeah, good stuff right there. The sled drills he's referring to, they've helped pitchers nonstop. I've got T.J. Harmon, one of my pitches at Ball State. I feel like sled's one of the best exercises because you can do a million different exercises for it, but it gets the core, it gets the legs rock solid. That's good stuff. Good answer. Least favorite lift in the weight room?
Probably overhead farmer's walks.
Overhead farmer's walk, stability with the kettlebell?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's tough. That's a brutal one. Nobody likes that one. You want to talk about a core lift, do an overhead farmer's walk with a kettlebell. That'll tear you apart. All right, least favorite pitching or hitting drill that you do that you just cannot stand, but you know it helps you, but you just don't like doing it.
Pitching is wall drill.
Isometric holds on the wall, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure probably the thing I need to work on the most, but I just find it really boring. And then hitting wise, probably defining your balance point using the Babe Ruth drill, I think.
Yeah, Babe Ruth drill, yep.
I'm just all over the place with that, and something I need to work on because you always have to have that load on the back foot without drifting forward. And that's mainly what that drill does, and that's probably a big weakness. Good
Good stuff right there. So, yeah, there's a couple things, whatever Jack struggles with and whatever any client struggles with that I'm working with them, those drills I attack them on, and the isometric wall drills force them to keep his opposite equal. It's boring, monotonous, but it's one of those things that sucks, you just got to do it. And then his Babe Ruth drills try to create some separation, create that scap load in his swing, and when you don't have your balance, that drill is very, very hard to do. All right, Jack. Well, I appreciate you being on here, bub. And the one thing with training kids and training athletes, and as a strength coach and a baseball instructor, and I work with a lot of kids. And when you're working with kids that are dedicated like Jack and want to get better, that's what it's all about. And as a strength coach and instructor, what I like to do as a coach, because I also coach, and I'm actually going to coach him next summer for the first time. As a coach, you want to think about you're giving the kids tools, and you're trying to give them tools and the knowledge. And everything that he gets, he's working for, and he's developing everything himself. So we give him tools, he takes that with him, and I know as a player, I was trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can. I want to give him as much knowledge as he can. He's going to develop and work hard for everything. He deserves everything he's worked for. You know, that's all on him. It has nothing to do with me or anybody else. And every player, I would take that same mentality as you're busting your butt every day for you. You do it for your family as well. But you know, I'm sure he does it for his last name. I know I did it for my last name. But everything that you earn on the baseball field, nothing's ever given to you, right? You've got to earn everything, especially on the baseball diamond. Jack understands that. I understand that when I played. You've got to work for everything that you get, okay? You've got to bust your butt day in and day out to be able to achieve goals, achieve greatness, and be able to perform at a high level, okay? As coaches, we want to give these athletes the tools. Other than that, it's their decision to be able to work hard. It's their decision to be able to put those tools together and work hard. And everything that they work hard for, that's what they earn. If they don't work hard for anything, they're not going to get what they want, okay? So make sure you put the work in daily. Do everything that you got to do. Remember, if you're not working hard, you're not doing it right. But appreciate it, Jack. Thanks for being on. Till next time, like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe. Laird's Training. See you later.